Yeah, hello and hello to everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and already learning from the process. Enjoyed the comments made by fellow panelists already, and I'll reinforce several of those themes throughout my career. I've worked in marketing strategy, customer experience design, digital strategy, innovation, and business incubation and scenario planning. So any of those topics are fair for questions as we get into questions from the participants, which I very much look forward to. So I will keep my comments brief. But related to the comment that Mohammed made, I really think stressing learning, there's an infinite learning possibility with the internet that we have today. And in particular, as your specific business, whatever that business is, it exists in a context of an industry. And I've found from discovery work that I've led that there are organized groups and associations for almost any micro topic that you can imagine around the world. And there is an increasing share culture as well, where people are very happy to share business experiences across geographies and even within the same industry to help each other grow and to understand what works and what doesn't work. I really enjoyed the examples that Tara highlighted, and with a focus on free to explore and that experimental aspect of trying things that you think might add value to your business and then learning from that and keep the ones that work, and then also be ready to move away from something that doesn't work if it's not delivering the results for you. And as Alfred just highlighted, the tools are almost infinite themselves. There is, I suppose, a finite number of tools on the planet, but it's almost infinite in terms of what one individual could explore. And so I'd like to make my primary comments related to, and it's kind of counterintuitive, that when we talk about digital strategy and tools for your business, the most important thing is actually not the digital side. It's the side of understanding and thinking about your business and its context. What is your customer's experience? It's the non-digital side. What needs to happen first, second, next, and what's your business model? And really, by identifying the key things that are most valuable to your customers, it might be finding support information about your products. It might be discovering the newest products that you have. It might be making it easier to pay you for the products that you have. There's lots of different possibilities, but the important thing is to think about, for your business and its stage of development, what are the right tools and the right areas to focus on and prioritize that are unique to you. It's fantastic to learn from examples, and I'm sure my fellow panelists and I can share lots of examples from our experiences that were shaped by what we did relative to the businesses that we have participated in. Learn from those, but be careful not to try to follow those examples if they don't fit your business needs or your context. So I really believe a lot in the many projects that I've been involved in, that focusing on what's important to your customers and focusing on what's important to your business model in terms of its sustainability as a business is a great place to guide you in terms of what areas to learn about and what tools to experience or experiment with, and that experimentation is fantastic. So I think I'll leave my comments there, and I'll remain open to questions on any of the topics that I highlighted.
I'll just say this to kind of build on Chip's point about payment. You want to make it easy for people to pay you, and you want to make it easy for you to get your money quickly. And so one of the things that I've had to do, I'll share my own personal experience. So when we travel to Kenya, it's very common for cash transactions. And so it's M-Pesa. And so, I mean, we see it all the time, right? The accounts are set up, the money's being transferred. And I never used it. I just had not adopted it. But one of the things that happened is that we started doing, we were doing book events. And while credit cards are fine and you can use Square to swipe, a lot of people just want to use a cash app. So the cash app that I use is Venmo, Venmo. And so I signed up for it. It works works perfectly. So I know that there are, cash apps that you guys can use to pay for goods and services, but also to make those things available to your customers. And so I'm just saying that from a business owner perspective, what are the things that you can do to make it easier for people to pay you? And so one of the things that we did was to create a Venmo account, because it just makes it easier. The fees were cheaper for us, and it made it much easier for our customers to pay us. So think about that again as a part of how you manage your business, because as Carla talked about on Tuesday, cash flow is really important. And so this is a way that you can reduce that time to invoicing and actually getting paid.
There's so many amazing apps out there, and especially when we're doing trade, and like as an individual, when I'm buying stuff, and I do a lot of trade from buying things from India, people buy clothes from Pakistan. I think if the transaction is easy, if I'm not sending money through Western Union, if I don't know who it's going to, I cannot verify, then you lose a lot of opportunities. And just like Venmo, there are so many amazing technologies out there. There's so many amazing companies out there that I highly recommend the graduates to start looking into. And and start looking into, going back to my point of innovation. A lot of issues that are out there in the world today is because it's the majority of the people who are inventing, which is like almost 88% of the patent, as I mentioned, are men. I've been starting to look into some of the hygiene issues in India, and the main reason there are no solutions out there is because the patents, the ideas need to start coming from women. For example, 23 million girls in India every year, they stop going to school after their menstruation cycle, and I don't think there are men out there really looking out for solutions there. It's the women that needs to stand up and say, okay, what's the solution? How can we use technology? How can we use science? How can we fix this issue so girls don't have to quit school because of hygiene issues, because the toilets are not clean, and the basic things like that. And those technologies, those ideas, those innovations need to start coming from the women here. So just wanted to throw that out.
While we're waiting for questions, I might build on that comment as well, because there are so many possibilities that it's really, I think, important for businesses to start small and start simple. It's a great way to focus on making something easy, not the whole thing. And you don't need to digitize your entire business and business model overnight. That might not even fit your business well. But if you start simple and you think about what can maybe solve one of the problems that my customers has, then you can make progress on that. And because of the variety of tools and opportunities, there's ways to do pieces and parts of your business to evolve things along. And I remember several years ago when I was working in a large corporation, way before, this is many years ago, before we had a catalog or online services to select our products or make sophisticated orders. The very first thing that we recognized was that we had many customers, and they often ordered the same thing. They were consuming the same products all the time. So one of the very first things that we implemented was repeat orders, just making it easy to order the same thing again that you ordered before. And as very simple that sounds, it actually scaled in our business to over $100 million of transactions because of the scale of the business and the business that we had. And all we were doing was making one simple transaction easier for customers.
Manisha, would you talk about the survey that you did in Afghanistan and what you found out about creativity that was happening or not happening, actually, and how some of those women in the fashion market were able to pivot?
Yes, Carol. So the survey that we did, we collected data, or the questionnaire was filled by over 100 women business owners. And unfortunately, only 10 out of that over 100 said that they were able to creatively change and alter their operations. And all others, 90 or over 90 other businesses expressed hopelessness and expressed that they were lost. They couldn't really do any take any creative way or innovative way, as Mohammed was talking about innovation. So they weren't really able to innovate or be creative in terms of changing or altering their operations as the lockdown was announced and they had to close down their businesses. So that made us realize that, wow, this is so much needed, that we all should work with these business women in Afghanistan on crisis management first, and second on exposure. Exposure is so important for their creativity in innovating something. As Mohammed was saying, that it doesn't mean that you have to create something from zero when we talk about innovation and creativity. And in this case, it's about their understanding and lack of exposure to really what's out there, what they can do with all these existing technology, for example, and so many other things that they can still run their businesses even if the lockdown is there and there are restrictions on movements. So yeah, this was our finding and a good realization of what to do next with women business owners in Afghanistan. Thank you, Carol.
If I could just make a comment on what Manisa has just shared, that's really, really interesting, because I think that that agility of being able to adapt businesses to new conditions is a really fundamental part of innovation that we're talking about. And I think an interesting thing to look at is what adaptations can a business make that actually are not only responsive to the immediate context, but actually makes the business stronger for the longer term. And we have experienced that in many ways now, looking at how businesses are coping with the pandemic conditions, and restaurants that may be using space or moving outside and creating new customer experiences that they didn't have before because their creativity and degrees of freedom are changing. And you can say, well, this is nice for the current time, but you can also say, this is actually nice if it was to go on, even if there was no pandemic. This is a better experience and a better business model. And there's an underlying methodology to think about there that is related. It's called universal design. And the idea is not designing exclusively for the needs of one group, but to figure out how to design a business or a product to serve the needs of everyone better. There's an example in the US market I'm aware of for kitchen items that were like spoons and things, and they were designed to be used with people that had arthritis. So they had bigger handles, they were softer and more comfortable, but it became very popular with the entire population because it was a better product and it was a better experience. So trying to adapt a product or a business to change can actually open up entirely new, robust, and sustainable business opportunities as well.